Okay, I don't do much of these videos. I'm typically posting things in written form. However, there's something really strong that's been coming through me, and from a lot of the videos I've been watching, there's been a lot of, we can use the words upgrades, insights, channelings. There's all sorts of ways to describe. Words kind of get us trapped sometimes. It's an inner knowing that we all have access to. So some of us have found different ways to access it, to express it through words, through dance, through art form, or just knowing in your own self. But it's all there because we're all connected to Source. We're just different expressions of Source in different bodies, and it's all necessary. However, it is accessible to all of us, just in different ways, and we have different distortions and dense energy to move through to get to these places. But the one thing that has really been coming through my being, and I felt inclined to share, is I've been finishing up reading Greg Braden's The Isaiah Effect, talking about the power of prayer and prophecy. And I woke up this morning talking in my sleep, and it was what was coming through was the prayers and the feeling, the prayers and the feeling, the prayers and the feeling. Without going into specifics, because I can't quite remember, that was just a sentiment that I woke up with, was I felt called to share about living your prayer, and that it is so important to express our feelings, no matter what they are. And the prayers and the feeling isn't to say that if you have something that you want to pray for to happen, let's say, which isn't how prayer works. There's different ways that we think prayer works, because again, that's in the thinking mind, not coming back into the feeling sense, but also tying into, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place here because just kind of just coming through David Hawkins' book, Letting Go. It's a pathway of surrender. He talks about, which they kind of correlate together, is to surrender to whatever it is that is coming through, whatever that feeling is, even if it's uncomfortable. And sometimes I find especially the uncomfortable feelings, because our ego wants to take us the easy way out. So it wants to numb us, or um, take us to like happier emotions, or especially when darker ones or ones that are uncomfortable are coming up. However, when we avoid feeling those places inside of us and we push them down, however we do it, some people, I'll speak for myself. Um, Movies, smoking weed, drinking, food, people, like whatever it is that's arising, I can just kind of identify it now in the moment of, okay, am I like going towards this substance or this thing outside of myself to avoid a feeling? And in doing that, that feeling grows. Like we push it in our unconscious and it just grows. So the invitation is to, of course, breathe and be, but surrender to whatever it is that's showing up in the moment. And almost like if you can float above the feeling, like witnessing your own self experiencing the feeling without attaching ego or meaning to it, and just surrendering to what is. And if it is a sensation that is unpleasant, let's see what's something that I can touch upon that has been unpleasant for me lately. Okay. Anxiety or feelings of depression or fear of death. That's been kind of coming up in my field lately, like fear of leaving this body. It's just to surrender to that thought, that feeling that's coming in, and meet it with love. Meet it with just a vibration of warmth. And I know that these are, again, words, so words can become very abstract into how we let them land in our body. That's where the breath can come in. You kind of breathe and like feel your earth body, do a body scan, notice where that original feeling that you're surrendering to is landing in your body. So for instance, when I tap into these places as I have been lately, I feel them in your prefrontal cortex. I've been very in my mind lately, so I feel a lot of like get headaches, intense energy. I feel it in my stomach, which I feel there's a lot of gastrointestinal and colon cancers and all sorts of issues with the gut for many of us. I know a lot of people that have gut issues. And so breathing into wherever it is that you're feeling rather than avoiding it. And if it's hard to conceptualize what love feels like or positive feelings, just imagine light. Just imagine sending light in there and be open to whatever color light that is. Sometimes for me it's gold, sometimes it's yellow, pink, blue. Just be with whatever light comes in and fill yourself, fill that place with light and with your breath. And it's not about trying to push away that other feeling or the other sensation that's causing discomfort, but like really surrendering it up to the higher power, which is in you. It's in me. It's in all of us. I was raised Catholic, so this idea that God, heaven, out there, and this is all really new to me to like be reframing it for my own self. So I'm totally learning and I feel like a newborn here, but remembering that God is here. God is within. So the term God, sometimes I think of as nature or love or light. And again, words automatically take us to a place of meaning because we relate every word as totally relative to how you grew up with a certain word or how you were conditioned with words. And so it's really where it's about learning and listening and being open to what your own heart and your own being wants to show you what those things mean. No, I have no idea what I'm saying anymore because I've just been kind of letting this flow. But to wrap it back around, the prayers and the feeling. So prayer is more than just words, it's more than just speaking. It is in aligning what is going on up here in the thoughts, which are energy. And this is a little bit from Joe Dispenza's work. If you're not familiar with him, I highly recommend tapping into his stuff. Thoughts are energy. Emotions are magnetizing. And when we can align those things together, it creates a field around us. And when they're not in harmony, we've got discord in our life. But it's for a reason. Like the discord is showing up, just like the uncomfortable feelings, so we can recognize them. Like our unconscious wants to be known. It's just the way, it's the way. It wants to know itself. Just the way that light source, we chose to be fractals of light source to come down here and know ourselves, because there's a greater, deeper knowing being in a body, in this vessel. So living your prayer, just noticing throughout your day what the feeling is. And Greg Braden does a really beautiful job in his book, The Isaiah Effect, of explaining the difference between thought, feeling, and emotion. So I might be butchering this, but this is my interpretation of it. Thoughts are energy, and thoughts alone don't create reality. They need fuel to bring them into manifestation, into reality. So if every thought we had cross our mind created reality, I think the world would be a completely different place, because there are like thousands and thousands of thoughts that pass through our mind. I know they do with mine. Sometimes I get like these crazy thoughts about my dog who's sitting right here with me. There's Billy just patiently waiting. If I cross the street, like, what if you got hit by a car? But it's just a thought. It's when that thought is magnetized and like given fuel by like emotion, then it produces what Greg Braden calls a feeling. So thoughts are energy. There's only two emotions according to this book that we tap into, which is fear and love, and they're two sides of the same coin. And then, depending on which state you're in, either a state of love or fear, a feeling is evoked from that place. So that was kind of beautiful. It's like holy trinity of thought, feeling, and emotion. So thoughts alone don't create our reality. And then, when you have a feeling where you're doing something in the world, making decisions, interacting with other people, just taking a moment and going, is this coming from a place of love or a place of fear? Like, what vibration am I in? Love being the highest vibration, and fear being fear, hopelessness, despair, all those being low, low, low vibration. Um, and I'm looking at like feelings like sadness, joy, um, sorrow, laughter, happiness, like all. And you can feel sadness and grief out of love, right? If you've ever lost anybody that has been really near and dear to your heart and you're grieving over them, well, of course, it's from a place of love. Place of love. If you've lost someone and you're grieving, and a lot of the feelings that are arising, let's say it was a partner and there's this like not wanting to be alone, then the like a fear of being alone, it can be a mixture of course you're grieving because you love that person, but also grieving too because there's a fear at the root of it of being alone. And both are serving some kind of purpose for growth, but a manifestation will arise from that emotion. So too much living in the fear and then having emotions or feelings produced from that is my understanding and my experience in my body of creating dis-ease. Because everything is vibration. Everything in this world is energy. Everything in our reality is energy. And when we take, let's say, I've heard of people like literally creating tumors in their body or creating fake pregnancies in their own being because they're not just thinking about it, they're feeling it. They're like feeling, they have an emotion of fear, which is what creates dense energy. It's love that lets the light shine through. That also came through in my dream last night. It was like I could see on a cellular level, like things being changed so more light could shine through, more light, more light. It's the fear that keeps us dense. And yes, we want an amount of denseness, but we can find that without fear. And anyways, I'm going on a tangent here, but prayer is in the feeling. So just taking note for yourself, dropping into this heart space and not the thinking space, which thank you, beautiful brain. You're like doing such a wonderful job at helping us interpret the world, but it takes over sometimes. It really does. I was just connecting with beautiful young woman last night at dinner, and was kind of sensing her emotional state and was like just checking in with her. She's about 14 years old, and she said, how's it going? And she kind of alluded to here, like it's just too much up here. It's just so much processing and overwhelm of getting in the head. And so when that happens, I know for me, it's time to put down all the things that I process up here and drop into the heart and come back into the body. And that's where I'll possibly post some of these clips from Greg Braden's book, all the different types of prayer. But sometimes we tend to like pray to God, our higher power, the source that created us for something, for someone to change. Please God, I want to have this new job, new car, whatever it is, for things outside of ourselves. And the universe will grant you, when you're coming from a place of love and really aligning with your path, will grant you exactly what you need. So it's really just, I feel like the way our world is moving, the way our spiritual journey is moving, at least for me, is a more yin way of being in this world. I know, Billy. We'll stop here in a second. We've been very, very yang, that masculine energy of like going out and getting and achieving, and that's so has it's like it's just one side of it, and the other side is this more feminine, holding space and being receptive and really surrendering and trusting and having faith that the energies of the universe, of Mother Earth, the sun and the moon, like all these interplays, if we are aligned in this space of openness to light, that we don't have to be doing so much of this outward momentum to be achieving our goals and what we want. Oh, and then the other thing with prayers, they have a really beautiful example in this book about a woman who has a tumor. So just for physical stuff, a tumor. And there's Billy. And these Qigong masters are praying over her, and they're not praying for healing because that sends an unconscious or subconscious message to the body that there's something to be healed. They're praying with their feeling state that the reality that there never was a tumor in the first place is existing, like right now. And so they pull that reality forward. And so their prayer is literally like clarity. Not to send healing to that place because that's very yang energy. Like there's something wrong. We have to send our energy to that place, but being open and receptive that a whole different reality already exists where there was no tumor in the first place. Another example, really briefly on this, was prayers for rain. The shaman specified that you don't pray for rain because that's for the hope that there'll be rain. You pray rain, praying that the reality is here. Pray rain. So right now I will end this video and pray love and pray peace, which a Tibetan monk in this book said if there's one thing that the world right now could pray for, pray peace. Pray peace of mind, pray peace of body, pray peace of spirit. So with this, I just pray peace to you all, and encourage you, whoever listens to this, to remember that the prayer is in the feeling, and that the way that we feel looks entirely different from person to person. So express your feeling, whether that's in writing if you want to write and it serves you, or it's drawing or dancing or making food or making love. Live your prayer and honor that your prayer is not going to look just like the next person's prayer, but we can make space for that. Space is made for that. So,